Catherine Connolly.
And Minister, you and I are more than familiar with this, so we might not bother with the history of it, because my question is very specific. It relates to trawling inside the 6 mile nautical mile zone by vehicles more than 18 metres long. We know there's a long history, so my question is specific. It's asking, I know the publication has closed, not the publication, but the communication period is closed for submissions. I know there were an extraordinary amount of submissions. Have they been analysed? When will a report be available? When will a policy be available? And when will it be implemented?
Minister.
Thanks, Deputy Connolly. As you point out, I held a public consultation on the review of trawling activity inside the 6 nautical mile zone and the baselines. And that consultation took place over an 8-week period, and it closed on the 12th of April past. And as you know, the purpose of it was to invite stakeholders and interested parties to advise on their views on any changes to the policy within the scope of the review. So we had a really large number on participation level and volume of submissions, with over 5,000 received as part of that. And these submissions will now be used to inform my review of trawling activity inside the 6 nautical mile zone and the baselines. And the Department over the last number of months have been in the process of analysing those submissions. And obviously all relevant issues have to be carefully considered before a decision can be made. And obviously the consultation, Deputy Connolly, was taken without prejudice as well. And you know, as you referred to there, the history in relation to this, where in 2018 there was a transition period put in place to ban vessels of over 18 metres from trawling in inshore waters. The ban was announced at that stage, but subsequently legal proceedings saw it overturned, and an outcome of which the legal proceedings was received last year. And following on from that, then I commenced this new consultation. So listen, it's something I'm very committed to pursuing. You can understand from the large number of submissions the amount of work involved, and also you can understand from the history of this as well the importance of making sure that each step is taken with assurance and solidly, because of the potential for any judicial review, as happened last time around, because it's over 6 years now since that ban was first introduced. And obviously there are significant issues there in terms of the inshore and making sure that the stocks are properly managed and sustainably managed as well. So my team are continuing to work on it. I don't have a timeline, but I have them working as hard as possible on it to go through those 5,000 submissions and to net out and crystallise the different legal considerations as well, so that I can take it forward. But I'm very committed, Deputy Connolly, to making sure it's stepped forward in as quick a fashion as we possibly can.
Yeah, Minister, I don't doubt that at all, but as you said yourself, in 2 months' time it's going to be 6 years since the decision was made to bring in this very welcome policy, because of unsustainable fishing practices within the 6 mile zone, particularly in relation to sprat. And I'm not going to rehearse all of that again, but it was urgent enough in December 18, and here we are almost 6 years and there's no policy. Now, it's important to say that on each and every occasion the courts endorsed the right of the government to produce a policy, and also that it was an important policy. Nobody disagreed with the policy except the 2 boat owners that bought the case. And actually they didn't succeed. When it came to the final judgment, they didn't succeed. And the department lost on the basis of a faulty consultation or information going to England and Europe. That was the only 2 reasons that it fell, not because of the policy and not on the basis of the arguments brought in the High Court by the boys from the 2 big boats. Should I rephrase that? The gentlemen or the owners of the boats. So there is urgency to this.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Connolly. And this is something that I'm addressing urgently as well, because as we know, the actual outcome of the High Court proceedings only came in the second part of last year. And then I commenced the process then of formulating the new public consultation, which opened in April just past, as promptly as they could in terms of putting that in place afterwards. It's something I want to see progress as quickly as possible now. And obviously we have to be very conscious that we do things in a way that is sure-footed, and that prevents there being any chink which could potentially be legally challenged in terms of any decision that comes out of that. Most of as you say, the decision happened and was implemented in 2018, announced in 2018. It was in the courts for most of the time after that, up until the second part of last year, and I'm now stepping forward the new consultation and the new process, with the objective of making sure we have a firm and sound outcome.
Yeah, I welcome the consultation. I welcome the 5,000 submissions. But we really need a date, Minister, when those submissions will be analysed. I suspect that the vast majority are in support of the government policy, as was the High Court and the Court of Appeal. Both of them found no difficulties with the policy. It was the consultation. The two gentlemen that brought the first action was because they said the consultation process was flawed. The Court of Appeal didn't agree with that, and they said the government and the department failed to tell England and failed to tell the EU. That was the only fault line, not the policy. So it's really important to come back and say, why was this urgent in 2018? Because of unsustainable fishing practices within the 6 mile zone. And that has gone on unabated and unstopped for the last 6 years. And on top of that, if we don't have a policy, we're not going to support local fishermen, we're not going to support rural development and all along the coastal area from Donegal down to Kerry unless this policy is brought in as a matter of urgency. So what resources has your department put in to deal with the extraordinary number of submissions, 5,000 to Kermac?
I think I wouldn't want the impression to be given, Deputy Connolly, that I haven't stepped this out in a prompt fashion, because I have, and I'm very committed to it. Obviously, it wasn't possible for me to take any action until I got the final ruling from the High Court, which was in the second part of last year, and that it had been in the court system throughout that period from 2000, from shortly after 2018 until then. I want now to continue as promptly as I can to get to a conclusion. But given the history of this, you'll understand as well that I want to make sure that the outcome stands up to all scrutiny and is absolutely sound and holds whenever it is actually concluded. Because, as you know, if it hadn't been for legal challenges, this is a decision that was taken back in 2018. So I'm very committed to it. I'm committed to the sustainability of the inshore sector. I'm committed to supporting our inshore fishing sector as well. As you know, I recently announced a €5,000 support payment as well for inshore fishers, given the very difficult economic circumstances that they had this year. But of course, their economic well-being going forward is entirely dependent on the sustainable stocks of fish and fishing them, sustainably fishing them as well. And that's very much going to inform this consideration too.
Thank you. Okay, we move now.